Hello and welcome to Hard Copy from our channel's television studios in Abuja. I am Gale Magwa. 68 APC lawmakers and counting, apparently. That's the number of lawmakers in the ruling All Progressives Congress out of a total of 469 seats. Thanks to a wave of defections, all blamed on internal issues in opposition parties, particularly the People's Democratic Party. Just so you can get the scale of what we're talking about, at the beginning of this 10th Assembly, APC controlled 59 seats in the red chamber and 175 in the green chamber. Meanwhile, the opposition had 182 seats in the House of Representatives and 50 in the Senate. So almost evenly split, 234 APC seats in total and 232 opposition seats in total. But now, that figure is 268 to 199 in favor of the APC. Today on the program, we're focusing on the defections from the People's Democratic Party, a party that once ruled this country for 16 years consecutively, a party that fielded great presidents like Olusegun Obasanjo, the late Umar Musa Yar'Adua, and Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. A party which reflected the largely center-right political mindset of the Nigerian people. What is at the crux of its problem? Is Wike the problem of the PDP? Is it Atiku Abubakar? Is it the zoning problem? Is it money? Is it the defectors? Is it the party leadership? Is it the APC? Will this strategy committee, led by former Senate President Bukola Saraki, calm frayed nerves within the party? Will the May 27th NEC meeting hold rancor free? Will we see a proper national convention? And will the PDP put its detractors to shame by putting its act together and doing a proper showing in the next presidential elections? My guest believes they can. He is one of the PDP lawmakers still standing in the Senate. He has remained a loyal member of the PDP since he was elected chairman of Opoku Local Government Council in 1998, working his way up to Minister of Interior under Goodluck Ebele Jonathan's government. He was formerly the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman Governing Council of the University of Agriculture in Makurdi and has been Senator representing the good people of Benue South Senatorial District since 2019. Joining us tonight is Senator Abba Moro. Distinguished Senator, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you for having me.
I want to be able to get your thoughts because you're always in that house when we're looking at these defectors, their governors coming to celebrate with them, you know, and all of them blaming your party, the internal wranglings in your party for the reason, citing it really as the reason why they're defecting. What goes through your mind, at least in the recent ones? What have you been thinking about when you look at those defections?
Well, it's amazing how politics is playing out in Nigeria, quite frankly. And when I look at the people who are defecting or migrating from PDP to other political parties, particularly the APC, my mind wonders about what politics is really turning out to be in Nigeria. Because I ordinarily think that it would appear that our principles, our values in politics are taking flight from the political scenario that we are finding in Nigeria today.
Well, many people tell you that politics is not something moral. Politics is survival.
Well, I agree that politics is not moral, but there is no human endeavor that can succeed without conscience. Even the parties that they are going to, even the APC that they are jumping into, also has internal wranglings, also has internal conflicts.
So you're not buying their
I'm
internal
not buying
wranglings?
that argument because I know it's not the argument. It's not the reason why they're doing what they're doing.
What do you think is the reason?
I think that it's about stomach infrastructure.
For themselves?
For themselves.
What does that mean? The APC is the APC sharing money? Is the APC sharing money?
Well, I talked about the stomach. I didn't talk about the money.
Is that sharing food?
But yeah. I think that something is wrong with that argument, quite frankly. I want to believe that it is not in the interest of politics It is not in the interest of development in Nigeria. It is not in the interest of democracy that we find ourselves attempting to emasculate opposition, because opposition is a veritable vehicle towards ensuring good governance.
Some people say this opposition, this PD, you did it to yourselves. That's the argument against that.
Well,
you did it to yourselves. You opened up your hedges and the snakes started to bite. You've lost governors. Many people are saying you're going to lose even more. There are governors that we hear in the next few weeks or months are gearing to leave the party. And it all comes down to an issue that came up in 2023 when the elections happened. This zoning problem. Many people in your party do not want Atiku Abubakar to run again. They didn't want him to run before. And the reason they believe is, look, we have a gentleman's agreement in this country. The zoning, they said the zoning was part of the rules of your party, and that many people with their personal interests are contravening the actual rules of the party. What do you make of that argument?
I mean, why are people so fixated on agreements? Why are people so fixated on zoning? PDP in 2023 or 2019 didn't zone the presidential ticket to the south. Yes, but don't forget that political parties are in politics to win. And so a zoning committee was actually put in place by the PDP, and they came up with a resolution that given that PDP was in opposition, given that we want to overtake a sitting government, let the best out of the stock come out and contest election, whether you were from the north or from the south or from the east. Do
you think that was a prop? Well, it may have been a decision that may be in tandem with our laws, but was this the decision to move the party forward? Was that going to get you the presidency, which was the ultimate game?
Ordinarily, it should. Because we're talking about, in this game, at this time, let's put our best foot forward.
Was Atiku Abubakar the best foot?
That was just of the majority.
Well, you have said
that is democracy.
You said that the biggest mistake was his running mate.
No, yeah, of course.
You said that Ifeanyi Okowa was the biggest mistake that was made in that election.
Of course, because with Atiku at the helm of the ticket, with the grievances arising from the party primaries over, the next level of action was who was going to run with Atiku. And so many people showed interest, especially some of the candidates that contested against Atiku in the primaries. And the choice of Okowa was made. I didn't just come up with the conclusion that it was a mistake. He said it himself. A vice presidential candidate, a one-time senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, two-time governor of a state, came up openly to say that he made a mistake being the running mate of the presidential candidate.
In your
what
view,
conclusion can you draw from that? Well, that means that Abi Initio, his heart, his soul, his body, were not in that election. He lost the presidential election in his state. He lost 2 senators in his state, lost many House of Representative members in his state. And so, what other conclusion can you draw? And like I said, knowing what you're saying now, I said, look, if that was the mindset of the man who was on the ticket of our party, who did very little to advance the cause of the party, it means that any other person within the ranks of those other persons who agitated or who wanted to be on the ticket or who could have been on the ticket, any other person other than him could have been better for the party.
I want to get your thoughts on a few things, really. The Atiku coalition, we have heard the PDP governors come out to say we are not joining any coalition. If you want to join the PDP, we'll welcome you. You walk your way up the ranks like every other person, as opposed to creating some coalition and then we're joining you. It's not going to happen. We've heard them say this as the PDP governors in your party.
What is it?
I want you to be able to land before you give me your question. Yeah. So that is the stand of the PDP governors, when it comes to this Atiku coalition that we're hearing about. Then there's also the issue of your national secretary of your party. Just a few days ago, we heard the PDP stakeholders in the Southeast say they don't want this person, they want the other person. And they actually stated that they wanted Mr. Sonny. And they're saying at the end of that statement, if this is not done, we would have to revisit our relationship with the People's Democratic Party. That's also looming in the atmosphere. Meanwhile, we have this strategic committee that is being led by former Senate President Bukola Saraki, trying to see how we can get everybody together so that the party gets itself and does its NEC meeting, does a proper national convention. Talk to us a little bit about some of these issues and your thoughts on whether Atiku Abubakar should run again. I know you're going to say he's well within his rights in the Constitution. Yes, having the ability to do something doesn't necessarily mean that you should, if it's not going to get you what you want, is it?
In the beginning of the crisis within PDP, it was easy for people to insist, Atiku, Mwike, Atiku, Mwike. They abandoned the vehicle, the platform, PDP. And I said then, and I say again, PDP is not just about Atiku, not just about Mwike. It's about all members of the party. Of course, they are leaders in their own rights. And they hold all shades of influences on the party and the members. And so when you talk about the Atiku coalition again, it is missing the point. Because the coalition that they are talking about here is people of like minds thinking about the future of this country and saying, hey, is it possible that we come together as one to fight the next election rather than dissipate energies in different directions and not getting to where we want to get to? That is what has played out. That is what is happening. They are talking about PDP is there, El-Rufai, the former governor of Kaduna State, is there, and all shades of leaders. They are the ones that are muting the idea of some level of coalition. Mm-hmm. Not even a level of merger. We're not talking about merger, we're talking about coalition. How do we work together? That is the spirit that is on the ground now. And like you rightly pointed out, if you know an issue that going solo, you may not be able to achieve the result that you want to achieve, and you begin to think about working together to achieve that result, so be it. So the thought about coalition is still on, but
you support this
it
coalition.
Is not about the party. When parties begin to talk about coalitions, it's a different thing.
Do you support
and if
this
you
coalition?
ask me,
yes.
If you ask me,
yes.
I will tell you, this is Nigeria. We want the best for this country. We want good governance for this country. And we are in a multi-party situation. And so if individuals within several political parties think that working together will bring what Nigerians desire, I am for it.
Despite the fact that the PDP governors don't want it?
I want the best for this country.
Yes.
Okay? I want the best for this country. It is not about who wants what. It is about what is feasible for this country. You have stated just now that you want Atiku Abubakar to run, even if he has the capability to run, even when he's not going to achieve the result. And like I said in the beginning, political parties are in politics to win elections. And so whatever mechanics that can be put in place to ensure that the party wins election, that is constitutional, that is legal, that is legitimate, is okay by me.
Before we go on a short break, just to get you to, in just one sentence, do you think that Atiku Abubakar should run again for president under the PDP?
Well, I think you answered that question yourself already. Atiku Abubakar is a Nigerian. Atiku Abubakar is a politician. Atiku Abubakar belongs to the PDP. It is not in my place to tell Atiku Abubakar to run or not to run. If he decides and has the ambition to run, and he thinks he has the capability to run, I am not the one to stop him, and I won't stop him.
We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we have more to discuss on the PDP and all of the internal wranglings that these lawmakers have said have led to them defecting. So please, stay with us on Hard Copy. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Hard Copy. If you've just joined us, Senator Abba Moro, one of the standing PDP lawmakers, is here with us on the program. Thank you so much for being with us, sir.
Thank you.
I'm going to stay on this topic. I knew that was the answer you were going to give. Oh, he has the right to. It's constitutional. We can't tell him what to do. If he believes he has the capability, then he should run. But we're trying to win an election. Will Atiku Abubakar win the PDP that election? That was the question in 2023. That is the same question coming up in the run-up to 2027. He can run. He's allowed to run. It's his right. But should he?
Well, that is a moral question that you're asking that you expect me to answer.
Yes.
I am not Atiku Abubakar. And I am
well, surely you would have some thoughts on it.
I'm not running. I'm not running for president. And if you ask me, I can tell you here, I can't stop anybody from running.
Okay, well, this was from you, first of all. This was where it started. You were the one who started it. Given his, you were talking about Atiku Abubakar here. Yeah. Given his ambition to contest one day and wishing to contest once more, I expected Alhaji Atiku Abubakar to have started from day one after the 2023 elections to galvanize the PDP and hold some levels of cohesion within the party. So quite frankly, I think that if there was any person that at that point in time to bring the party together from the fallout and disastrous outing of the PDP in 2023, that person certainly was Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. I'm just going to take that part there and ask you about former leaders from the party. We started off this program by talking about the fact that this party, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan was a member of the People's Democratic Party. Olusegun Obasanjo was a member of the People's Democratic Party. Umar Musa Yar'Adua was a member of the People's Democratic Party. Do you see any communication from these past leaders trying to wade into this situation in the party, first of all?
Well, so far, so good. All of us members of the PDP have our own individual perceptions about the happenings in the PDP now. And like I said there, I think very frankly, and I stand by my statement, that I expected Atiku Abubakar, for instance, the presidential candidate of the PDP in 2023, to have called a meeting of elected officials of the party, elected political office holders of the party, like senators, House of Reps, because in the run-up to the election, he called meetings of all of us, and we stood by him. We went to him.
Then afterwards,
we campaigned for him.
Afterwards,
and
nothing.
Then after the election, we didn't find him again. And crisis started rocking the party. And we didn't find him. I didn't find him. I expected him to be there for the party. I expected him to be there for the rest of us. But he wasn't there. He hasn't been there. But again, like I said, we have our own individual differences. Olusegun Obasanjo, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, a very respected Nigerian. My principal, Goodluck Jonathan, a very respected, gentle,
you were
perfect,
minister under him.
Yeah, perfect Nigerian, and rest of them. And so, all that we are witnessing in the PDP now is the result of the fallout of elections, whether this is primary election or it is major election and the rest of them. But again, like I said, the party is far more than the individual. And don't forget that in party politics, we have leaders, but we have the foot soldiers. The foot soldiers deliver. All they need is coordination. All they need is getting coordinators, somebody they can look up to. My optimism lies with the fact that at the moment, the PDP is taking steps under the leadership of the acting national chairman and the Governors Forum, that is a pressure group within the party, taking steps now to line up activities that will gradually culminate in a national convention that will throw up a new set of leaders of the party that will churn out possibly new narratives for the Nigerian people to accept or to reject.
The Alia Consolidation Core Team in your state They say you're practicing selective activism. And I'm going to read out what they said. The secretary, his name is Comrade Didakos Sevike Love. I hope I got that correctly. I'm going to quote him. He says, his forthright intrusion in the affairs of the Benue State House of Assembly, this was following the situation in the State House of Assembly, where you, they said, using a word I can't use on air, criticized the removal of the chief judge and the suspension of 13 assembly members, signifies a man who thrives on squabble rather than genuine concern for governance. Okay. His eagerness, referring to you, to meddle in state matters raises questions about his motivations. Suffice to ask, was it genuinely about justice? Or was it a malicious way to get a state leadership as usual? Or merely inexplicably silent in the face of dragging suppression and consequent suspension slammed on Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uwaghan, a fellow member of the People's Democratic Party? This glaring double standard, they said, reveals a troubling paradox in his principles. If he was so quick to lash out at perceived injustices in Benue, why has he chosen to ignore an egregious act against one of his own? Moro's silence speaks volumes, suggests that his concern for what he terms justice is selective and contingent on his political convenience.
Well, because you say the time is short, let me tell you, I think they are being economical with the truth. First of all, what played out in Benue State, and I'm very concerned about what is happening in Benue State because it has never happened before. There has not been this type of governance in Benue State before. The governor wanted to remove the Chief Justice for no just cause. And even without just cause, if he wanted to remove the Chief Justice, he should have followed laid-down procedures. But he just cajoled the House of Assembly members, undermined their integrity, and induced them to remove the Chief Judge of the state. And the Constitution is very clear on the procedure for removing the Chief Judge, that it must be on the recommendation of the Nigerian National Judicial Council, which he didn't follow. And the House of Assembly met, took a resolution that the Chief Judge was removed and sent it to the governor. 13 members of the House of Assembly say, hey, wait a little. It is not correct. This procedure is not correct, and we will not follow. And they went ahead to suspend them for voting against the instruction of the governor.
I mean, distinguished,
and here,
you know this story.
And here, in the Natasha saga,
yes,
we have a rules, the rule of sitting in the Senate. And the Senate president is the custodian of the implementation of that rule with the sergeant at arms. And because of this defection that we're talking about now, the seats of the Senate were rearranged. And Natasha was moved with others from the seat where she was sitting to another seat. Mm-hmm. And she said she won't move, that she preferred where she was sitting. As a minority leader, I went to the Senate president. I spoke with him on how we could resolve this matter without escalating it. The Senate president told me his feelings about the situation. I went to Natasha and I said, hey, my sister, go to your seat. She's still alive. Go to the seat that has been assigned to you, because that is the rule of the Senate. We will resolve this matter later. If you still insist on sitting on this seat, that is something that we can talk about. If you still insist on sitting on this seat, that is something that we can talk about. In my own case, in the period of COVID, I was moved from the PDP stand and put in the management where management staff were staying. I stayed there for over a month. Yeah?
What this coalition are saying is that the way you are very passionate about the situation with the removal of the judge in Benue and the situation there. The way you were very vehement there,
because it was wrong.
The criticism is that in this case, in the Senate, was it not wrong? That is
no,
question.
It was not wrong.
Okay,
it was not wrong because Natasha openly denigrated the Senate on the issue of sitting arrangement. All of us were. Natasha told me openly that I should go and tell those people who sent me to her that she will not leave the seat. I was supposed to be her leader, and I was in a position to advise her. And so Natasha now offended the rules of the Senate. The governor himself has come out plainly to say that he never accepted the Assembly recommendation to remove the Chief Judge because he knew that it was wrong. And so as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria from Benue, making laws in this place, and my junior ones in the House of Assembly there were violating the law, I keep quiet? No way.
No, that's all the time that we have, Senator.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you very much for being with us on Hard Copy, and good luck with all the work you have ahead of you.
Thank you.
That's Hard Copy this week. I'm Kayla Magwa. Good night.